Welcome to SaiyanSquabbles. I am Papa Ping Pong. Today we are taking a little break from deck profiles because I've been coming out with quite a few of those and I need the opportunity to brew up a few more and to break up the monotony of just deck profile after deck profile before I get my boxes and some battles up for you guys. I wanted to talk about the leaders from set 8. Now, I'm aware I'm a little late on this, but just starting up the channel and just having pre-releases not that long ago, and now that the starter decks are out, I really wanted to talk about this and getting other YouTuber insight, and now I kind of want to toss my hat in the ring. So we're going to talk about the leaders with the most potential, or aka the best leaders that I'm predicting in set 8, Malicious Machinations. And this will be descending order. So we're going to start with number 11, Kaioken Son Goku. So Kaioken Son Goku, when he attacks a leader card, you draw one, and once per turn, when a battle card activates Revive, you draw one, and he's a restand one, draw one. When he awakens, and he awakens a 4 or less, when he attacks, he draws one, and once per turn, when you activate Revive, you draw 2 cards. Active main once per turn, choose one of your blue-green multicolored battle cards in rest mode until the start of your next main phase. As long as the chosen card is in rest mode, your opponent's cards cannot attack leader cards. I think very few leaders in the set are bad. I don't think there are any. I think this is honestly one of the only bad leaders in the set. I think after this and maybe one more, the rest are good to fantastic, which is really rare for these sets. But there's not a lot of flexibility. You basically have to play Revive Engine, and there's not a lot of Revive cards out yet. There's not a lot of direct support. There's no clear or defined build, as I put here. There's no clear direction other than Revive. And from my experimentation, I might need to really sit down and try to crack the code. Maybe there's something I'm missing. But on the surface, this guy just really is not that great. No one really wanted to run him. I think one person ran it at one of my 2 pre-release events I went to, and he did okay with it, but he never used the Revive mechanic at all. And the leader is too safe in the sense that it doesn't do anything crazy. I think that a leader like this that needs to revolve around one specific gimmick that is super limited to certain cards needs to do something a little extra, which they try to do with the active main, but that is a little too limited in my opinion. So we're going to move on to number 10, the Expert Deck Android 21. So on her unawakened side, when she swings, she draws one, and if you have a blue-green multicolor card in your energy and your life is at 6 or less, you may draw one and untap one, which is really nice. And her permanent on her awakened side, you can't play battle cards with original energy costs of 6 or more. Excuse me. And her auto, once per turn, when a card in your energy is placed in your drop area by one of your skills, draw one card, then choose up to one blue-green multicolored card in your drop area, add it to your energy in rest mode. At the start of your opponent's next main phase, choose up to one blue-green multicolored card in your energy and switch to active mode. The issue with this deck, I think this is not a very good leader. I think this and Kaioken are the only leaders I think aren't good. There's the restriction of energy cost 6 or more. There's no inherent finishers, like the finisher that came out with this set for Android 21. You literally cannot run in the set, or this deck. I think this is too gimmicky. I think this relies on you using the starter deck stuff a little too much, or expert deck stuff anyways, a little too much, when you really should be experimenting with the pool of booster stuff and stuff from the past, but it's really limited. I need to experiment with this leader a little more as well, but on the surface, it's really not that great. It doesn't do much. Restanding energy is the only plus, but you have to discard energy to do plays, and there are too few cards that do that sort of thing. And I think it's outclassed by the same leader, the other leader, and other leaders of the same Android archetype. Number 9, Android 18. So when this card starts with Android 21 Scheme, the field spell, inactive, and active main once per turn. Choose one clone token in your opponent's battle area and remove it from the game. Draw one, then choose one card from your life and add it to your hand. Then choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards with an energy cost of 1 and return it to its owner's hand. And she's a draw 2 when she awakens. And on her awakened side, she draws 1 when she attacks, and she has the same bouncing effect, but instead of the self-awakening part, She reduces all combo costs of blue and green cards in your hand in battle area by 1 for the duration of the turn. So I think its active main is great on its unawakened side, but on its awakened side, I think the bouncing back anyway really outstays its welcome, I guess you can say. There's not a lot of viability with the... I think it should have been a 2 or less instead of just a solid 1 for you removing that clone token, because it is only on once per turn. It does have decent self-awakening. Self-awakening plus a spot removal is really nice. The thing is, reducing the combo cost is really nice if you're trying to go for finishers, but there's not a lot of green arrival targets, blue or green arrival targets, especially for blue-green specifically. So I don't really know what the combo is outside of arrival and maybe trying to finish, but that's number 9. 8, Red Beerus. So Beerus, active main once per turn, choose 1 red or yellow card from your hand to place in your drop area, draw 2. And when he's at 4 or less, you restand 2 energy and flip him over. His active main once per turn, tap a red and a yellow, choose 1 of your opponent's battle cards and KO it. Active battle, choose 1 red, yellow, multicolored card in your drop area and combo with it. So I like this leader. He's easily splashable. You can combine pretty much any red, yellow archetype with this guy, or you can even branch out a little bit more than that if you want to even go tricolor. He can still do that pretty easily. He has a super strong early game. He's drawing really consistently, and he does not need to attack to get a draw, which is really good, especially if you're trying to get a powerful win condition into your hand. His backside is good, but falls short pretty quickly. He doesn't have any real draw, but he has really good spot removal, and his active battle can be activated on either player's turn because it is active battle, which is really useful and really nice. And the fact that you combo a multicolor, there's a lot of arrival that is red and yellow, which is really nice that you can play off of. It has great control for mid-range. It does not do good long game. Early to mid-game it does really well, but that's about it. I do like this leader though, quite a bit. So next up is the Super Saiyan 4 leader. So once per turn, choose 2 cards in your life, add them to your hand, choose up to 1 of your battle cards, and it gets double strike for the duration of the turn. When your life is at 2 or less, you draw 2 and re-stand 2, flip it over. And on his backside, he's got double strike, and once per turn, choose 1 card in your life, add it to your hand, and switch to active mode. So basically a dual attack double strike once per game. So he has great early aggression. You're always giving something double strike, and odds are you're running red yellow, so you can run like intensifying power trunks, give it critical double strike. A good buddy of mine, who I won't say his name, but he loves giving stuff critical double strike. He had an older crazy Super Saiyan 4 deck that did that, and he loves this leader. And I really like this leader personally. I love silly glass cannons, but crazy self-awakening. The only downside is you have to choose 2, so if you're at 3 life, it's really awkward. Awakened skill allow for crazy plays, so you draw 2 and restand 2, which is ridiculous, which I think is a decent trade-off for having to awaken at 2 life. But awakening at 2 or less life is really risky. If your opponent swings for a triple strike, you can't awaken to defend yourself. But this is a very heavy glass cannon build. You're ending the game turn 3, turn 4 at the latest, and if you don't end the game turn 3 or turn 4, you basically lose, from what I've seen with this deck. But I think this deck does have a lot of potential and a lot of crazy, silly plays, but I do not think it's going to hold very crazy meta options, or it's not going to last very long in the meta. But I think there is potential with this leader. So the booster box, Android 21, she also starts with the field spell, which spawns tokens like Android 18. An active main once per turn, choose 1 clone token in your opponent's battle area, remove it from the game, draw 1 card, then choose 1 of your opponent's battle cards that energy cost of 1, return it to its owner's hand, and at the start of your opponent's next main phase, you restand a blue-green multicolor. And she draws 2, and on her awakened side, she does the exact same thing. I like this more than the Android 18. All these leaders are really close, in my opinion. Like, I think 9 through 6, I don't remember which one's next, but maybe 5 are all about equal in terms of viability. But I think this barely edges out Android 18. The draw 2 awaken complements really well. I think this deck needs a lot of drawing. Restanding multicolor is super helpful. You're basically restanding a multicolor every turn. There's no reason not to. And the extra part of bouncing back on 1 drop is nice. Allows access to the rest of the archetype, unlike the expert deck leader. like the 8-drop finisher, which is crazy good. And the only downside to this leader, in my opinion, is the awakened side does not do much. I think if she was an attack draw one, that would make this leader really good and probably one of the top 3 leaders, because drawing 2 a turn, I think this deck does need to draw slightly more. But I am seeing some interesting builds. I just want to see someone really execute this gimmick the way it's supposed to be executed. So number 5, starter deck baby. So he's got Inherent Self-Awakening, because active main once per turn, choose 1 card in your life, add it to your hand, switch this card to active mode, and when your life is at 2 or less, you draw 2, restand 2, and awaken. Then on his backside, he's got dual attack, and once per turn, when he attacks, you draw 1. So Inherent Self-Awakening, he basically, which is always nice, he basically always has dual attack due to restanding. What's nice is you only have to take 1 life. He's not one of the leaders that you have to take 2, because you don't have to be at an awkward spot. If you have 3 life, you can drop yourself down to 2. So again, the awakening, restanding 2, drawing 2 is really crazy. But awakening at 2 is, again, scary. If your opponent swings with a triple strike early game, which is possible, then, and you're at 3 life, you can't do much about it, unfortunately. Now, the baby archetype, especially in this new booster, a lot of new stuff to experiment with. And there's a lot of flexibility depending on how you want to build this. Do you want to build this more aggro? Which chain do you want to go? But the dual attack, just so much pressure all the time. And he's a 15k as contrary to the other leader, which we're going to get to. So number 4, Dr. Wheelo or Dr. Euro. I call him Wheelo. He's on awakened side. He starts with a field spell, and when he attacks a leader, you search top 7 for Frenzy Warrior and add him to your hand. When you have 4 more energy and or your life is at 3 or less, you restand 2 and flip this card over. So a little bit of a slower awakening. You're awakening turn 4 normally, unless your opponent's really aggro. When this card attacks draw 1, and active main once per turn, choose 1 card in your hand, place it in your drop area, choose 1 keyword skill on one of your opponent's battle cards, and negate it for the duration of the turn. And if your field spell has 17 or more cards under it, you win the game. Slightly scary awakening. It's not too bad, especially if you run self-awakening in the deck. But it is something to keep note of, that you will be awakening slower than most other leaders. And sometimes you're not going to really be awakening. More often than other leaders, you're not really going to be awakening on your own terms. His effect negation effect on the backside is really nice. You can get rid of barrier, so your lab can absorb more guys. The only downside is it is active main, unlike Toa, who's active battle. The unawakened side searches for pieces a lot and is top 7, which is really crazy good. Alternate win condition, super powerful for any leader, and from what I've been told, I have not played with this deck yet, but you can get this win condition about turn 4 or turn 5. But that's with pretty much no interaction from your opponent. But an alternate win condition is always crazy, because that means obviously you don't have to win by the normal means. Super defensive due to... Oh, actually, I originally thought the active main was an active battle, like I said earlier, so scratch that one. But his archetype is really defensive and really complements him. So number 3, we got the booster box baby. I think this barely beats out the other baby. At first I liked the other baby more, but after a lot more consideration and talking to people, I think this baby is better. So he's once per turn, choose 2 cards in your life, add them to your hand. You search top 3 for baby or brainwashed, add them to your hand. Then you cycle the other 2 at the bottom of your deck. When your life is at 4 or less, you draw 2 and flip this card over. And he's 10k on the awakened side, which is important. Auto once per turn, when the power of your opponent's leader is reduced to 0k or less, this card gains triple attack for the duration of the turn. An active main once per turn, choose up to 1 brainwashed card in your hand and play it. So great drawing unawakened. You're constantly drawing pretty much 3 cards a turn. Access to a pool of combinations, that kind of just goes with the other leader. There's a bunch of different ways to play this leader. He easily gets to his triple attack. He can get to his triple attack turn 2, turn 3. And after turn 3, especially and beyond, you're pretty much always getting triple attack. He can consistently play free battle cards, free brainwashed, which can be blockers, can be just beat sticks, anything of the sort, or some tech choices. He's only 10k, but again, that doesn't really matter. You're going to be constantly negging your opponent's leader past that, so most of the time you're still going to be higher than the power of everything else on the board. So the only other real downside is the nitpick is he can't really extend plays when he awakens, which I think is fair to balance out the leader. Now, number 2, which this could be number 1, is Bulma. Now, the only reason I say this could be number 1, well, let's go over the leader first. Permanent all red, yellow, Saiyan, and Earthling cards in your battle area gain blocker. Active main, draw 1 card, and when she's at 4 less, she restands 2, and she is 5k power. Same thing on the front side, same permanent, except she's a draw 2 active main with only 10k. And say draw power, that's self-explanatory. There's no downside, you just consistently do it. You don't have to attack, you don't have to do anything. She's super defensive, you're getting blockers from turn 1 and beyond. Has support across the board, and by that I mean every single set. You can look at every single set that's come out and there's support for. And there's so many different combinations. I've seen Hidden Mastery build, I've seen the current build, I've seen, excuse me, I've seen just standard Goku's lineage. There is so much variety with this leader. A buddy of mine plays a decent Hidden Mastery package, still holds the same downsides as a standard Hidden Mastery, but you see your pieces a lot, or some would say a lot more consistently. But she has low power, which is not a huge deal because all your blockers, and there's no clear win con. This set was not printed with a clear win con. There's the God Goku, but that is not, it's strong, but it's not, I wouldn't call it a win condition because it's easily counterable like Denial of Hope, and you're only dealing, I think, 4 damage with it at most, which quote unquote only, like I know it's such a downside. But Joey from Crossworld TCG brought up a really good point. I just don't think anyone has cracked the code for her yet. I think people are really close. I agree with him 100%. There's not a clear win con or clear strategy with her yet, but I think people are really close. And number 1, we got Hachiyak. Malice Assimilated. So Dr. Lychee and Hachiyak unawakened. You can only play black battle cards, and this card can't attack. When this card attacks, the player who attacked can't, or when a battle card attacks, the player who attacked can't attack with tokens or battle cards with energy cost 7 or less other than the card they attacked with for the duration of the turn. Active main once per turn. Place the top card of your deck under this card, place the top card of your deck in your drop area, then draw 1 card. If you only have black cards in your energy, choose 3 cards under this card and place them in the owner's drop area. You draw 1 card and flip this card over. His awakened side is exactly the same, except he can attack, and he doesn't have that active main. And when this card attacks, it gets plus 5k for the duration of the turn, and you draw 1. This leader's insane. He is ridiculous. As Joey from Crossworld TCG put it, he's a built-in Nimbus. I did not like this leader when it was first printed, as I've said in my deck profile, but it's starting to grow on me because it is counterable. It does have stuff that's counterable, but I think this leader has the most potential and some of the most flexibility. He's got lots of overrealm support. He's pretty much like every other black leader, can run any overrealm. He's, again, a built-in Nimbus, anti-Janemba, which I think Janemba is slowly falling out of favor anyways, but this is going to seal the deal. If Janemba ever comes back, people are just going to, or if Janemba stays prominent, people are just going to run this leader. He's 20k on every swing on his Awakened side. The downsides I had to kind of nitpick. He doesn't draw a lot, but there's lots of overrealm that get around that. He is restricted to mostly black builds for obvious reasons, but that's really not a bad thing, as Toa has shown us. And a big pro is he gets past most win conditions. There are very few win conditions that get past Hachiyak. There's pretty much only secret rares or big boss monsters that you have to cheat out. Broly BR is probably one of the biggest challenges for this deck. But that's about it. This deck is crazy, this leader is crazy. But that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know how you'd rate the leaders below. Let me know if I missed something or something went over my head. And I really appreciate the watch. And I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. See ya.